Doesn't the Bible say something about discerning good and evil? Absolutely. Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12 says, "For when for the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God." So Paul is addressing Hebrews who are caught up in law keeping. And he says, you ought to be teachers by this point in time. You remember what Jesus told the Pharisees, you search the scriptures, in them you think you have life, and they testify of me. Because God didn't give us the Bible to tell us what's right and what's wrong. God gave us the Bible to reveal his Son, Jesus Christ. So now Paul is addressing that here with very moral individuals and says, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Not between good and evil, but both good and evil. The new covenant has completely redefined good and evil, right and wrong. And by redefining it, it's returned to the first principles of the oracles of God, which were given to Adam and Eve. Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou mayest not eat. It's right to engage in a relationship with God. It's wrong to think that you might be as God, discerning between good and evil. The new covenant tells us to discern both good and evil, which is to realize that our entire life is relationally driven. There's a God void that must be filled with a relationship from eating from the tree of life that the religious experience, eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, can never fill. Remember when the disciples asked Jesus, teach us to do the works of God. Jesus said, this is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he has sent. This is what's good. And any other experience about Jesus that doesn't actually involve him personally is not good. It's eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But those who have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil realize that God's not telling them what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's evil, but it's drawing individuals back to the tree of life, to be relationally driven, to be influenced by the Spirit of God within, and to be a manifest expression of Jesus Christ's own life.